Sorry for that. Hello, good morning, and welcome back to a Farmers Media Breakfast Show. I am your host, Ms. Rochoya, and here we connect, learn, and grow in agriculture. I hope that you are having a good morning. And today we are doing a topic, as you can see on your screen, is about how to grow broccoli in Kenya. So before we go into that, I would like to welcome anyone who has joined us. If you are watching us, please tell us where you're watching us from. And if you are a farmer, you can tell us what you are doing in your farm, and we can get started. So karibu sana, and tell us where you're watching us from. I can see we have if I pronounce your name wrong, as always, I always apologize for that, because I know we have people from different parts of the world, and sometimes pronouncing your name will be hard. The same case, I know if you are told to pronounce my name, it will be a little bit hard for some people. So I apologize, and maybe I can read the last name. So I see, or the English name of it. I see we have Zinovuyo. I think it's like a South African name. Sinovuyo Peter, welcome. Thank you so much for joining our Farmers Breakfast. And we also have, it's really hard. The other one is really hard for me to pronounce. But if you're watching us, tell us where you're watching us from so that we can get the show started. So today we are doing how to grow broccoli in Kenya. Before we go into our topic, I would like to give some facts about broccoli for those people who are not familiar with broccoli, because we know mostly, like in Kenya, broccoli it's produced for the export market, and it's not like a common African vegetable. So I would like to give a few facts about broccoli. So broccoli, the first thing is that broccoli is in the same class as the cabbage, and the cabbage family, and the cauliflower and kales, which is sukuma wiki. And the other thing is that broccoli, we have two types of broccoli. We have one that forms a head just like cabbage and cauliflower, and then we have one that just sprouts. It forms somehow small heads, and it's a tender stem kind of. But in Kenya, the one that is most common is the one that forms head like the cabbage. And then broccoli also, according to research, over the last 25 years, the consumption of broccoli all over the world has increased to 940%. That is another fact for broccoli. And it also, another fact for broccoli is that for storage, when you store it well, the maximum number of days that you can store after harvesting, it usually takes from 21 to 28 days. So you can have it under proper storage for 21 to 28 days. And please, if you are joining us, karibu sana. And I said you can tell us where you're watching us from, and make sure that you like our videos so that we can have more people coming in. Share our videos so that we can have more people coming in. So we go on to facts, and another facts about broccoli. Another fact about broccoli is that broccoli mostly grows in a temperature that, not a temperature, in a pH that is 6 to 6.5. That is the best pH for broccoli. So before we go into broccoli farming, I would like to let you know that we are still in the safe use of pesticide in partnership with UNIDO and MARCUP. UNIDO, which is in United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and MARCUP is Market Upgrade Access Program for the EU market. So in today, I'm going to give you something about something which is really, not everybody knows this, but I know most farmers understand this. So I'm going to give you how people should, our sprayers, people who spray chemicals in your farm, the way they should wear their protective equipment. There is a procedure. So if you do not know this procedure, today is your day that you are going to know this procedure and why they should always follow this procedure. So for those people who are spraying, you know, the protective equipment, we have gloves, we have boots, we have overalls, and we have goggles. Yes, those are the protective equipment. So there is a procedure for wearing the protective equipment, and there is a reason for why we should follow this procedure when we are concerned about the safe use of pesticide and our health. So this is the procedure for wearing the PPE, which is protective equipment. They go in this order. You first wear the overall, then there's a respirator, goggles, and then gloves. Why? The reason is gloves are they are mostly contact with the chemical, and if not well handled, some chemical traces can be into the respirator and goggles. So you should wear the overall, then the respirator, then you should wear the overall, respirator, goggles, and then gloves. Always make sure that gloves are the last thing for your worker to put on, and they should also understand this procedure so that we can always have safe use or safe handling of pesticides. So before we go to that, I want to welcome people who are watching us, and thank you so much for always coming in to watch with us. So I see we have more people who have just joined us. Thank you so much for joining. We have Erica Musimbi who says tuned for the great show. Thank you so much, Erica Musimbi. We are happy to have you here. It's always a pleasure having you watching us. Thank you so much. You can share out our live stream so that we can have more people learning this. And then we have Gabriel Mumba who is also watching us. Gabriel, thank you so much for watching us. You can tell us where you're watching us from. And we also have Josu, I cannot pronounce the other name, who is saying cool. Thank you so much for watching with us, and you can share out our live stream as well. Then we have Nehemiah Choge who is also watching us. You have Eunice Shah. Thank you so much for watching us. Karibu sana to our live stream, and if it's your first time joining us, make sure that you follow us on our social media platform. We are as a Farmers Media on YouTube. We are as Farmers on Instagram and Twitter, and on LinkedIn we are as a Farmers Training Center. And why are we calling ourselves a Farmers Training Center? This is because we train farmers on sustainable methods of farming in Africa, and we have our training center, and we have an event that is coming on this weekend. So if you want to be part of our event, we have an onion harvesting event, and this onion harvesting event we are going to teach you we are going to have a real experience on onion harvesting, and we are going to share more about onion production. As we all know that onion is one of the most profitable crop to be grown in Kenya, because onion has got high demand, because every family uses onion at least every day. So we have that event. If you want more information about the event, you can contact us through our social media platform. You can send us a direct message. You can also call us on our number that is on your screen, and you can also WhatsApp us on the same number so that you can have more information about the event that is coming this weekend at our training center, where we train farmers on sustainable methods of production. So that is it for that. So we are going to introduce our today's topic, which is broccoli farming in Kenya, and we want it to be a success. If you're getting into broccoli farming, we want you to get into it when you have more information, because we want people diving into farming with a lot of information so that we may not make mistakes. So today we are going to give you part of what you need to know as somebody who wants to get into broccoli farming, because broccoli is high demand, especially for the export market. 1 kg of broccoli goes for 170 Kenyan shillings, which is $1.7. So that is how expensive broccoli is, and it can go more than it. That is like the list price, so it can actually ranges from there. So we are going to broccoli farming. So as always, when you are doing farming, the first thing is land preparation. So how are you supposed to prepare your land for broccoli farming? The first thing, this is just going to be general information for just any other crop, but we are going to dive in more into broccoli specifics. But for land preparation, as a good farmer, what are we supposed to do our land preparation? And as obvious, this is an open discussion. As a farmer, if you're doing broccoli farming, you can always tell us what you do, because we are learning every day, and I'm going to tell you what I know, what I've seen we do when we are doing broccoli farming, because this is something that I've had a real experience with broccoli farming, especially the sprouting one. I haven't done the one that forms the head, but have done the sprouting type of broccoli, two varieties, that is Inspiration and Reuben. So we are going to start with land preparation. So when you're doing land preparation for any crop first, you should scout the area. You should scout the area and get to understand this area. You get to understand if there is any contamination. You get to understand if there is any water, if there is the water is available. If, for example, you are not using, you're not depending on, should I say artificial irrigation? If you're not depending on, okay, if you're depending on natural water sources like a river or something, you should always make sure that there is water available. But you can also use other water, like borehole water, but make sure the water is available, and also make sure that there is no contamination from the neighboring plots or neighboring land. And if there are things that you are supposed to remove from that farm, make sure that you remove that, and get to understand what type of pests are you going to encounter in that, or what types of pests do you is that area mostly associated with, or what type of weeds are mostly associated with that area. Because as a farmer, you really need to be prepared so that you can use preventative methods. As we all know, even if you're not a farmer, in everything that you are doing, preventative methods are always the best. So you have scouted your land. So now you go to land clearing. If this land was a fertile land, you need to go to land clearing. You clear your land where you plow the land, and then you plow till it has like a fine tilled, because for broccoli they just need not very fine, but it has to be somehow medium fine tilled. So you make sure that your land has that medium fine till. Is it medium? Like, not really, I don't know if you're getting me, but what I'm trying to say is that broccoli is not like when you're doing ngano inaitwaje? When you're doing ngano is wheat. Yeah, when you're doing, it's not like it doesn't have to be very fine like when you're doing wheat. So you do that, and then the other thing that you need to do is that you need to test your soil. So make sure that you test your soil so that you can come with a formula for dressing, because you need to, so that you can come with a formula for pre-planting fertilization. Because so you have to test your soil. When you do test your soil, that's when you will know what are you supposed to apply for pre, because we have fertilizers which you apply before you plant your crop. So this is not specific to your farm, to anybody's farm. This is just a guideline. So according to your soil test, you are going to get a formula on what you're supposed to do in your pre-fertilization, which is fertilizing your farm before planting. And then now we have the other thing that you are supposed to do, like for broccoli, you don't need to form beds. So for broccoli, what you're going to do is that you are going to do to apply the pre-herbicides, pre-emergency herbicides, which are herbicides which are applied to kill the weeds before they emerge. So when you really understand because at first we said you need to be familiar with that area, you need to be aware of what you are going to expect. So you make sure that you also apply pre-emergency herbicide which kills the weeds before they emerge, and this is really going to give you a very good start. And as a farmer, you should always understand that 30% of your success comes from land preparation. Land preparation is the foundation of any farming, so 30% of your success is going to come from that. So you should just make sure that you have done your land preparation in a very good way, just as I have highlighted. And if there is anything that I am missing, I understand that we have more farmers here on our live stream. You can always tell us what you think that I have missed in land preparation. So for broccoli, that is what you're supposed to do for land preparation. That's what you're supposed to do. And then the other thing for broccoli, now when you come to planting, for planting broccoli, you can do direct seeding, and you can also do raise the seeds on a nursery, and then you can transplant them. But mostly what happens in Kenya mostly, or what I've experienced, is that seedlings are propagated somewhere else, or we have people who are doing seed propagation. We as a farmers, we also do seed propagation. So you can source out somebody who is doing seed propagation for you. They do seed propagation, but you have to make sure that whatever they are doing is seeds which have been certified by CAFIS, and they are clean seeds. So you should look for a reliable seedling propagator. Yes, you should look for somebody who is specialized in seed propagation. We as a farmers, we do seed propagation. So if you need a seed propagation, we can always give you that service. So mostly seeds are propagated by a propagator who is specialized in doing that, who have all the media, the equipment for seed propagation, and people who are doing it as it's supposed to be done. We know that you need to have certified seed, as I said, and you need to follow the correct procedure. They have to be clean and all that. So you should always get somebody to do it for you, or you can do that by yourself. And doing that by yourself, it takes like 14 days. So you can have you can propagate your seeds in a nursery for 14 days. You just make sure the normal things, make sure that they are clean, and make sure that they are certified, and make sure that you are giving them enough irrigation water so that you can have a good result. And the other thing is that you can source them and then transplant them later. So we are actually going to take a short commercial break. Then we can come back and talk more about planting of broccoli. And if you have if you have any questions about broccoli farming, or if you have any contribution about broccoli farming, you can always leave us a comment, and you can leave us a contribution. We say that this is a discussion platform where we all discuss, we connect, learn, and grow with farmers. So let's take this short commercial break, then we'll be right back with more on broccoli farming.
Cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable that is naturally high in fiber and B vitamins. Cauliflowers are annual plants that reach about 0.5 meters and bear large rounded leaves. As desired for food, the terminal cluster forms a firm succulent cud or head that is in form of a cluster of flowers. Cauliflowers do well in fertile, well-drained soils that are rich in organic matter. Just like other plants, cauliflowers are also affected by different kinds of pests and diseases, which can hinder its growth, including unfavorable climate and growing conditions.
The many problems you will see in cauliflowers, and this one is just one of them. You can see how the problem is. It's called riciness. You can see it living nachana, that is, yeah, living each other, as you always say. But this one is usually caused by low temperatures. Yes, low temperatures. Low temperatures during planting leads to this problem. So you have to make sure during planting you have favorable temperatures for your crops. Always talk to your agronomist when you plant, so you can know when to plant what and what works when. Temperature will depend on your area, the area you are in. Because I can't tell you we are in Nyandarua, I want to grow this, and you are in somewhere in like in coast, it's too hot. Yes, so that will depend also in your locality. Yes, and also if you are in those climates where it always changes, so you have to know when is the cold season. In cold season you can't do this because of A, B and C, and if it's too hot you can't do A, B and C. So always, that's why I'll just have an agronomist, will guide you through it. Yes, and also do your market research and know what works where before you grow something as a farmer. Don't just do guesswork. There's a lot of pests that attack cauliflower. The most notorious one is aphids. Aphids will circle your leaves, and one thing you will know, there's aphids on your leaves. They're always curling. Yes, they will eat, or they will suck the sap out of the leaf, and now when they are too weak, they start curling. They curl inwards. So that's how you'll know you have aphid attack on your farm. Yes, and now what you can do to control aphids on your farm is always keep them in check by spraying. There's always a chemical solution to it. There's a biological, and then there's IPM. Yes. The perfect head, I'll say it looks like this one. Look at this. It's perfectly round, and it doesn't have any spots on it, and it's intact. That's what makes a perfect head, and is a good size, good market size. Not too small, not too big, not overgrown, just perfect. Yes.
Beetroot is a highly nutritious root vegetable. The beetroot is the top proportion of a beet plant. It is one of the many varieties of the genus Beta vulgaris, all of which are mostly grown for their edible taproots and leaves. Beetroot is a root crop that takes approximately 3 to 4 months to mature. Beetroot is a fairly easy crop to grow as long as the soil is well cultivated prior to planting. Beetroots do not enjoy wet, boggy or shady soils. Beetroot can be sown in trays and transplanted when the seedlings have 2 true leaves. Plant in full sun, space seedlings 10 to 15 centimeters apart, and rows 20 centimeters to 30 centimeters apart so they have room to grow. Beetroots are also ideal for containers or raised beds. Beetroots will happily thrive in small areas as long as there's at least 20 centimeters depth of soil. Beetroot has been used not only for food but also for treatment for numerous conditions.
A nursery bed is a small area of a yard or garden that's used for growing certain selected plants. The goal of a nursery bed is to grow young plants to a certain size at which they can be easily transplanted. A nursery bed can also be used to evaluate plants to see if they are worthy of planting in the larger garden, to observe their growth, habit, and color, or watch them for pests and diseases. A nursery bed is especially helpful for vegetable gardeners practicing succession in planting, in which a steady supply of fresh produce is maintained.
Melon is a trailing vine in the gourd family. The word melon can refer to either the plant or specifically to the fruit. Watermelon is a type of melon that is sweet and refreshing fruit. Watermelons can either be grown on home gardens for small-scale farmers or large-scale depending on the market demand. You can either transplant or plant watermelon seeds directly. For best performance, plant watermelons in hot, sunny locations with loose, fertile, well-drained soil that is rich in organic matter. It is best to plant watermelons on raised rows and ensure that the soil pH is between 6.0 to 6.8. On average, it takes around 3 months for a watermelon to grow from seed to mature fruit, with smaller varieties having shorter growing times than larger varieties of watermelon. Watermelon growing, if done rationally and on a scalable basis, can be a good source of income.
Hello, good morning and welcome. Hello, good morning and welcome back to A Farmer's Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Misaro Chweya, and today we have been talking about broccoli farming in Kenya. So if you are coming in, we have talked about facts about broccoli, we have talked about land preparation in broccoli, and a little bit of planting in broccoli. So we want to continue with our show on broccoli farming, and if you are coming in, please leave us a comment and tell us where you're watching us from. But before we get into our discussion, as I've said, this is an open discussion. If there's something that I miss out when I am talking about this as a broccoli farmer, you can always give us more on each subtopic. So we are going to look at your roads so that people can find alternatives to use maybe. So we are going to look at the traffic. So we are looking at Mombasa Road. Mombasa Road up between Lolongo and JKIA is looking very bad. A lot of traffic there. It's smooth between there and Imaradaima. Then there's a little traffic between there and General Motors. The rest of the road on Mombasa Road looks relatively smooth. Then Jogoo Road, then we're going to Jogoo Road. There is a light traffic on Jogoo Road, except hapo between Makadara and Mbotela. The traffic there is a little bit more on Jogoo Road. Then now we are going to look at Langata Road. On Langata Road, there is heavy traffic on Langata Road going towards between Uhuru Gardens and T-Mall. So that is it for your roads. You can, if you are on the roads, you can always find an alternative. Or if you are planning to leave the house, then you are up to date on our traffic. So going into our discussion, so if you are coming in, please let me see people who are coming in so that I can welcome any new person who has come so that we can go on into our discussion on broccoli farming in Kenya. So we have people who are watching us. So I'm going to invite people who have just joined us after the break. So we have Esther Meli who is watching us. Esther, karibu sana, and please tell us where you're watching us from. We have Kipruto Lin, karibu sana, and tell us where you're watching us from as well. We have Akpan Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming in, and please tell us where you're watching us from. And then we have our one and only fan of all of the morning breakfast show, Agan Okelo, thank you so much for watching us. We hope that Oma Bay kuko sawa huku side za Kitengela. Leo kumekuwa na baridi kidogo na rasha ya mvua kidogo. So how is Oma Bay? Tell us how Oma Bay is. Thank you so much for always joining us for the morning breakfast show. So today we are talking about broccoli farming, and as I had said, broccoli production is in Kenya, and the Kenyan climate is favorable for broccoli farming, but mostly broccoli is done for the export market, where I said that 1 kg of broccoli goes for 170 Kenyan shillings, from 170 Kenyan shillings, which is like 1.7 US dollars, and that is good money for a 1 kg. So we are going to talk about planting of broccoli. Planting of broccoli, again, I said you can have seeds propagated by somebody else, or you can do a nursery by yourself, or you can do direct planting. But I advocate for propagating the seedlings first, then you use the seedling. And of course, you need to have seedlings which have been certified by KEFIS in order to have a successful farming. So after the seeds have been propagated, and of course you have this trusted propagator, and as I said, as the farmers, we also do seed propagation. So if you are looking for somebody who can do seed propagation for you, you can always get in touch with us. For at the moment, we are propagating papaya and managu. At the moment, we have in our propagation greenhouse. So if you are looking for somebody who can propagate, we are here to sort you out. You do not need to be worried about propagation. So you get somebody who is doing propagation for you, and then you can transplant them. And then after transplanting, before transplanting, there's something that you need to know. Of course, you need to know the spacing, because it's very important for you to follow spacing, because as a farmer, if you do the correct things, actually you are going to avoid a lot of money spent on pesticides and all that. So make sure that you are doing the correct spacing. So what is the correct spacing for broccoli? For broccoli, the correct spacing is 20 centimeter from plant to plant, and then from row to row is 40 centimeters. So that is what you should know. And then at least have them separated into 3 rows. Three rows, or you can have 4 rows, so that you can leave a space in between for spraying, where you can have your tractor pass. I hope I'm making sense. Then you can have them set like beds, like you have a three row. One bed has 3 rows, and then the other bed has 3 rows. I hope that I'm making a lot of sense. And then you have a path, a tractor path, and this path is very important because we need that path for harvesting as well. So you can have a path for spraying. If you're doing a large scale production of broccoli, you need to have that tractor path 80 centimeter in between, so that the tractor can pass. And then what you can do with that space, you cannot just leave that space alone like that. You can plant cabbages in that space, because the tractor will always pass over the cabbage. So you can plant cabbages in the space, and that space is really important because it helps when you're doing the cultural practices, when you're doing your weeding, when you're doing your harvesting, when you're walking around the farm, when you're doing scouting. So that is very important for you. So that is planting for you. I hope planting is really done. That is it all about planting for broccoli, if that's simple. And then now we go to what you're supposed to do after planting. When you plant those small seedlings, you are supposed to have overhead irrigation. Why are you using overhead irrigation? You are using overhead irrigation until the seedlings can support themselves, until they are formed proper roots. Yes, until they form proper roots, you need overhead irrigation. Then you stop immediately after they are formed proper roots. You stop overhead irrigation, because overhead irrigation is going to, if you continue with overhead irrigation, it'll let a lot of humidity. Yes, a lot of humidity within the crop, and that is going to lead to diseases. But before you do that overhead irrigation, you should look at, there's something that you should look at. You should look at damping off, because mostly broccoli, it's affected by damping off. So you should look at you should just because damping off happens before they really form a strong root system. So make sure that you are looking for that. You are also looking for other things such as beetles, but we are going to talk more about the diseases and the pests that you can check in broccoli. So for planting, that is it all about broccoli. Make sure that you have 3 rows, and 3 rows which are 3 beds which are separated in 80 centimeters. Then you have 40 centimeters between line to line, and then you have 20 centimeters between plant to plant. And I have said this row is really the path that is left in between the path that is left is very important for your cultural practices, and for your cultural practices, for your spraying, for harvesting and all that. And you do not need to leave that space like that. That space you can put cabbages there, because the tractor will always pass above the cabbage. So that is it. And then now after the roots of the plant has a strong root, what are you supposed to look at as a farmer? So now you're supposed to stop overhead irrigation and install drips. You're supposed to install drips, and of course you make sure that the drips are well, there's no blockages in between the drips, because the drips tend to block sometimes, but there is a way you can always make sure that these drips are not blocked. So the best method, after now the roots are really formed, the best methods of irrigation is a drip irrigation. So overhead and then drip irrigation. So that is it for planting. So after planting, just like any other crop, what are you supposed to look at? So now the crop broccoli starts forming. Now you're supposed to look at things like weeding, making sure that you are weeding your crops. And when you are weeding, there are things to look at. And for sure, I'm telling you this, for broccoli, if you do the right thing, broccoli is not really affected by diseases, but you should look out at pests. So we are going to dive in the pest that you are supposed to look at. When at the young stage, what you're supposed to look at is beetles. That is what you're supposed to look at. You're supposed to look for beetles, and if you find that there are a lot of beetles in your farm, you should always look for a good insecticides to kill those beetles. And then another thing that you can always find in broccoli is aphids. You can find the gray aphids in your broccoli. That is other insect that you can find in broccoli. Another insect that you can find in broccoli is caterpillars. You can always find caterpillars in your broccoli. And another thing is diamond black moth. Diamond black moth. I am going to request my director later on to put on images of that DBM, because not so many, if we can find it, we can share it on our screens and you can be able to see that, because that is one of the insects which are really stubborn when it comes to broccoli farming. So now from there, we are going to look at the diseases of broccoli before we can look at because we are going to tell you at what time you're supposed to do your pinching, because pinching is very important when you are doing broccoli. So we are going to look at diseases. So what diseases are we going to look at first? So we are going to look at and I said diseases are not very common in broccoli if you do the right thing, the correct spacing, certified seed you get from the correct from a trusted propagator and all that. You're not going to have a lot of diseases. It's mostly not affected by diseases. So the first disease that we are going to look at is damping off. And damping off, as I said, it comes first. Sometimes damping off happens when the seedling is very young. So it occurs in two stages. It happens when the seedling is very young, and the way for you to identify damping off is that it affects the seedling, and then the seedling falls off, so it doesn't form the roots. So that is why you're supposed to come back and check whatever that did not germinate, so that you can fill the gaps as soon as possible. Then we have another disease that we can look at in broccoli is we have Downy mildew. Downy mildew. Downy mildew. It's almost they're in this. I say they're in the same class with Downy mildew, but they affect the crop differently. So for downy mildew, you will find it. Under the leaves. You will find it happening under the leaves, and it's like just like powdery mildew. It has it's somehow, should I say, whitish. You will find it under the leaves, and the reason as to why you get downy mildew, the only reason as to why you will get downy mildew is mostly when it's cold. It's during the cold stages. And when you do not do the correct spacing, downy mildew is going to spread all over it spreads very quickly. Downy and powdery mildew, they spread very quickly in your farm, so you should always look out for this. And the only better way to prevent this is making sure that you have proper hygiene. There is sanitation. When we say sanitation, you make sure that it's clean, and you make sure that you are following the correct planting dimensions, which is 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters from plant to plant, and 40 centimeters from row to row, which is, I'm saying line to line, row to row. And you're also having that path, the path for people passing, the path for harvesting, and the path for spraying. You should have that path, and that path, of course, we said you can always plant things like cabbages in that path. So Downy mildew is another disease that you should look into, but you can prevent it by making sure that you are having a clean environment and you are having the correct methods of irrigation. So another disease that is not really common in broccoli, but it will be good for us to talk about, we have something that is called white rust. So white rust, this is we have it's rust. What can I call rust? Yeah, it's called white rust, and the way for you to identify this white rust, you will find shiny raised blisters. Like downy mildew, it's on the lower surfaces of the leaves, so that is white rust. And for you to avoid this white rust is to avoid, again, over irrigating, and you should always avoid humid condition, like the relative humidity should be less than 90, and if you have high soil moisture, it is a favorable condition for that. So most of these diseases in broccoli, there are things that you can prevent by just following the correct procedure for planting broccoli. So another disease that we can talk about in broccoli is alternaria leaf spot. We can talk about alternaria leaf spot, and from the word alternaria leaf spot, the good thing with these diseases is that you can always understand it. Alternaria leaf spot is just you find spots on your leaves. So the symptoms of this one is the leaf has dark colored spot, which they have dark colored spot, and you also have finally the spots they make the leaf kind of looks brightened. So that is alternaria leaf spot. It's just spots. You just find a lot of spots in the leaves. When it's too much, you find a lot of spots in the leaves, and the favorable condition that allow this to happen is when the soil temperature is around 28 degrees. Then of course high humidity is also another thing. Moist weather, where you have very cold weather. So that is it. And there's something that I did not mention. For broccoli, it has to get 6 hours of sunlight. Like, it has to get so for the best place for you to grow broccoli is where it has 6 hours of sunlight every day. So that is it about broccoli. We'll be talking about pinching and harvesting, as well as we are going to talk to you about the marketing of broccoli. But we are going to take a commercial break, then we are going to come back. But before that, I want to check out and see people who are watching us, people who have just joined us after the break. So we have I'm not going to read the first name as always. So we have Cleaver. Cleaver is watching us. Thank you so much for watching us, Cleaver. And then we have Agan Okelo. Agan Okelo is saying, following the proceeding keenly. Thank you so much, Agan, for always watching us. Then we have Asum Nagenu, who is also watching us. Then we have Emmanuel Haulel, who is also watching us. Then we have our CEO, Mr. Noah Naiseli, who is also watching us. Thank you so much for watching us. And then we have David Ngahusu. Yeah, these names are giving me difficult to name them, but we have David Kausu, who is watching us. Thank you so much for watching us, and you can always share out our live stream so that we can have more people coming in. So we are doing broccoli farming. We are going to take this break, then we will be right back with more on broccoli farming. Now we are going to talk about pinching, harvesting, and post-harvest handling, and of course marketing of your broccoli. So thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the short commercial break. Hello, good morning, and welcome back to our Farmers Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Miss Sarah Choya. We are right back after the short break. Thank you so much for choosing a Farmers Breakfast. And today's topic, we are talking about broccoli farming. And before we continue with this, I would like to remind you to keep safe. Make sure that you are keeping safe. Make sure that you are doing social distancing. Make sure that you are sanitizing as much as possible, and so that you can keep your family safe and yourself safe and people who are around you. If you can work from home, just work from home. If you are working with if you have to leave the house, and make sure that you are following the COVID protocols. And as I had said, in today's show, we are doing broccoli farming in Kenya, which I think applies to most African country, but we are talking about Kenya because we are in Kenya. Before we go into more detail about broccoli farming, I would like to appreciate and read comments for people who are watching us. If there is any comment that I missed out, I'm really sorry, because I've seen there are more comments that I did not see, and I did not read those comments. So I did not read two comments. The other name is the name that I said is from South Africa. My guess was right. So we have Sinovuyo. The other name is really very hard, and then the last name is Peter. Sinovuyo Peter, thank you so much for joining us. She's saying that, good morning, I'm watching from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we have Eunice Shah. Eunice Shah is saying, good morning everyone, I'm watching from Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. We are coming live to you from Kenya, from Africa, Kenya, Kajiado County, Kitengela to be specific, and we are going back to talking about broccoli farming. But before that, I would like to tell you more about our farmers. If you are just coming in for the first time, I'm just saying this for those people who are joining us for the first time. Our farmers, we do have our training center, which is our training center where we train farmers on sustainable farming. We are advocating and participating in sustainable agriculture for Africa, and we are more concerned about the future generation or the future race, because we have increase in population there, and there is demand for food, and we need to eat safe and healthy foods. So we are going to have one of our training is coming very soon. We are going to have our training on onion harvesting. We are going to do onion harvesting on our training center, where we are going to have an onion harvesting event. And in that event, you can be able to learn about onions, get to understand the basics of growing onions. And as I said, onion is one of the most profitable crop that you can invest in when you want to invest in agriculture in Africa. We want more people to do investment because this is a great opportunity, and not so many people are really interested in making into the agriculture sector. But this agriculture sector is a sector that we need more people to get into, because it's a low risky investment with which when done properly, when you do it right, when you have people guiding you, when you have a farmers trainers, a farmers profession taking you through the farming or other profession, you are going to make it in farming. So without a lot of blah 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 blah, you can join us, and make sure that you contact us through our WhatsApp number on your screen, on our social media handles. On Facebook we are as a Farmers Media, we are on YouTube as a Farmers Media as well, we are on Twitter as a Farmers, and on Instagram as a Farmers with a Z, and on LinkedIn, of course, we are as a Farmers Training Center. So make sure that you contact us so that you can have more information on harvesting. And we can also do virtual training. If you are not in Kenya and you will like us to train you on anything, you can always check on our website and you can get in touch with us, and we can do virtual training. Of course, COVID has come to teach us that there is nothing that is impossible virtually. We can always have a virtual training for you, which is customized to suit your needs. So now for those who are joining us, tell us where you're watching us from. We have somebody who has been with us throughout the show. We have Kipruto Lin who is watching us. Kipruto Lin, you can tell us where you are watching us from. Thank you so much for joining us. So we go to broccoli farming. So broccoli farming. So in broccoli, there's something that is called pinching. So especially when you are dealing with the sprouting one, the sprouting broccoli. You need to do pinching, and pinching is mostly done at the 10th or 9th week. You can do pinching at the 10th or 9th week, and from there you can continue harvesting, and you can do harvesting from that 10th week to the 16th week. You can do harvesting, and this harvesting can be done in intervals of 2 to 3 days in a week. So in a week you can harvest like twice. You can always harvest like twice. And then we are going to talk about, that is it for the good thing with harvesting. There's not so much to talk about harvesting and all that, but make sure that if you are doing the sprout forming one, the sprout forming broccoli, which is not really very common, because the common one is the one that forms head. But if you are doing for the European market, the sprout one is really in demand. There is a lot of demand for the sprout broccoli for the European market. If you are doing for the local market, you can either do most people are aware with the head forming one. So if you are doing that, make sure that when you are harvesting when the stem is tender. Do not wait for the stem to be, this is something that is visual. You can always see with you. There's no way that I can explain this better, but when you are doing harvesting for broccoli, make sure that you are harvesting when the stem is tender. And then after harvesting, you should make sure that you are doing during harvesting, not even after harvesting, during harvesting, if you're doing it for the large scale, especially during this time of COVID, even before, make sure that there is a lot of hygiene. These are vegetables, and people who are working for you, people who are farming for you, they should observe proper hygiene. Harvesters are supposed to be in good health. You do not need to have people who are coughing. Harvesters are supposed to be people who are in good health. They're not awana easy homa nini. If somebody hakona shida, just give them a break so that they can come back when they are good. Make sure that they're in good health. Make sure that you have, even before COVID, make sure that you have a hand washing station. You have a hand washing station where farmers get to wash their hands as frequent as possible. When not farmers, harvesters, maybe when a harvester visits the toilet, they should come back and wash their hands, then do farming. There should be proper hygiene when you are doing harvesting, especially when you are doing harvesting for vegetables. So make sure that they are doing proper hygiene. And the other thing is that you should make sure that the harvesters, they don't have things like nail polish on their hands, because if you are doing it for the marketing, you're doing it to sell. Things like when farmers have, when the harvesters have nail polish, make sure that maybe you're providing gloves. And of course, broccoli, you should provide gloves, because broccoli is mostly harvested in the morning. It's not favorable to harvest your broccoli when it's too hot. They're mostly harvested in the morning. This is because of the post-harvest, for them to have a long shelf life. A shelf life is for them to be still fresh for a long time. So shelf life is the life after harvesting, I guess. Yes, the life after harvesting. So for them to have a long shelf life, you should always harvest your broccoli when it's still cold, when it's cold. So you can always organize with your workers, or if you are the one who is harvesting, you can always make sure that you wake up early and harvest, or your workers can come in early and leave early. So they can come in broccoli and harvest broccoli in the morning, and they will leave at 12, or they will leave after lunch, which is at 1 mostly in Kenya. So those are the things that you should observe when you are doing broccoli farming. So what about the marketing? Marketing nowadays, social media has made it very easy for us to do marketing for our crops. So when you are doing farming, what I see most people do when they are doing farming, and this is something that not most people, successful farmers do. Successful farmers, what they do is that they get the market first. don't go into farming without your market research. They do a market research. When they do their market research, by the time they're harvesting, they really understand where they're going to take their produce from. For example, we should take an example of this large scale vegetable producers in Kenya. These people who are doing vegetables for the export market. These people, they first find market. They first find a market. They first find a market where they have orders before they start their production. So that makes it really very good for anybody who is selling anything. When you already have a ready market, it makes it easier for you. Remember, broccoli is a crop that is perishable. It's fresh produce. So if you have it for a long time with you, you're going to incur losses. And when you incur losses after harvesting, that is a really big loss, because you're going to incur losses on time spent, money spent. You understand? I know people understand this. So make sure that you get your market before production. So that is really going to make it easy for you. And if you're doing it for the local production, make sure that you get markets. Mostly broccoli is sold to people who buy their groceries in the supermarket. So you can always reach out to those people and have a business discussion with them, so that by the time you are producing your broccoli, you already have a market. And I repeat, please do not produce anything without a ready market. Or if you're going to produce anything without a ready market, make sure it's something that you can market. You can still market when you've harvested. So make sure it's something that you can market when you're harvested. So for us to avoid post-harvest losses, we need to be getting into farming with a plan. I know this is a cliche, but when you plan, you are not going to fail. But when you do not plan, you are planning to fail, which is very true and very applicable. So that is it about broccoli farming. So in case you have any question, you can always ask us. So if you have any questions or any contribution about broccoli farming, you can always tell us, because this is an open platform. This is where we get to have discussions, important discussion as far as agriculture is concerned, and it's a learning platform. So we connect, learn, and grow. If you have any question about broccoli farming, you can tell us. If you have any comment, or if you are doing broccoli farming, you can always tell us what you are doing and we have not discussed in this. So when we were talking about before the break, we talked about insects or pests which can attack broccoli, but we did not show them on the screen. So we are going to share the insects that can affect your crops. So my director Sarah Wanjiku is going to share with us the insects which are very common in broccoli. So we have aphids. It's supposed to be aphids. We are going to do a change on that. We have aphids, so you can see aphids, and aphid is very common it's very common because it also affects skuma wiki, and skuma wiki is something that I believe most people most people have seen skuma wiki grow. So aphids also affect skuma wiki, and then we are going to share all of them. So mostly the picture we are sharing is for this kind of aphids, but mostly we have gray aphids which affect broccoli. And then we also have another insect is we have diamond black moth. So we have diamond black moth. This is really, when you are doing broccoli farming, this is really hard for you to notice, but when you know what you are looking for in your farm, you can always find it. But when you don't know, you will not find it. So diamond black moth is one of the insects which are very notorious in in broccoli farming. So we have this diamond black moth, so you can always find it, but you can find it when you know what you are looking for. So another one that we are going to have is thrips. Thrips are very common, especially when you do not have proper irrigation, or when the crop has no haujapatia maji mingi. Thrips always come up when we have a dry weather. So thrips are something that you should look at when you are doing broccoli farming. When you are doing your scouting, these are things that you should look at. Another thing that I'm going to add, but we are not going to share it on the screen, it's something that I forgot when I was talking about the insects. We also have caterpillar. Caterpillar is very common, so I believe most people know what a caterpillar is. So caterpillar is also something to look out for. So when you are doing your scouting, make sure that you are looking for this. You are looking for these pests. These are the pests that you should look out for in your crops. So we are going to take a commercial break. Then we will be right back with COVID updates, and of course we are going to end our shows and answer any question that viewers may have. So stay tuned with us, and we will be right back after this short commercial break.
Are you a farmer facing challenges in your farm? Pests, diseases, or even unsatisfactory produce? Worry no more. The solution is here. Join us every Tuesday on Diagnostic Tuesday, where we talk about various issues affecting agriculture and interacting with experts with knowledge in different sectors of agriculture to provide you with appropriate solutions, giving hope to farmers to attain better yields, to achieve financial success and development. Our farmers attain knowledge and grow profits.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to A Farmer's Media. Here we talk about agriculture. We connect, learn, and grow in agriculture. We are doing the breakfast show with me, Misaro Chioyo, your host, and today we are talking about broccoli farming in Kenya. To be specific, we are talking about everything broccoli. We have talked from land preparation, planting, cultural practices, harvesting, and marketing of your broccoli. So if you are joining us for the first time, thank you so much, and karibu sana to our show. Make sure to join us every day. We are doing this morning shows every day at this time, so make sure that you can connect with us. Turn on the post notification bell so that you are notified every time that we are on live doing these shows. So I hope that you are keeping safe wherever you are watching us from, because still we have COVID with us, and we got to learn how to keep and adjust our lives with it. But for us to do that, we need to follow the COVID protocols, which is making sure that we are washing our hands each and every time. We are keeping the social distance. We are staying in our houses as we can. We are avoiding crowded areas, and we are doing the norm, what we have had the health ministry, the WHO, whatever that they are telling us. Let's make sure that we are doing that, so that itakuwa ni jichunge unichunge. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, and so that we can also take care of the people that we are around with, our colleagues, our family, and all that, and our nation at large. So I want to see if we have new people joining us for the breakfast show. If we have people joining us, karibu sana, and make sure that you turn on the post notification so that you are notified every time that we are on live. So if you're watching us, please tell us where you're watching us from. So we have we said when we come back we are going to answer the questions, but then we are going to look at the COVID updates so that we can get to know that this thing is still with us. We need to be reminded each and every time. I see Kipruto Lynn, I see your question. I'm going to answer that in a few. So in the meanwhile, let's check out the COVID updates that we have for Kenya. So here is the COVID updates. Give me some minutes. So we have COVID updates for you. COVID updates, we have new cases. The new cases for COVID, they are 258. So that is that number is still high. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself, so that, because this thing is real, we are taking care of yourself and taking care of others. And then we have the recovery rates. People who have recovered, we have 923 people who have recovered. And then we have recorded deaths. The cases of death, we have 9 deaths. We are still losing people to this COVID, so please make sure that you are taking care of yourself and you are taking care of your family and everybody that is around us. So we are going to look at the question that we have. I see Kipruto has a question on broccoli, on the pinching of broccoli. So he wants me to expound on pinching. So I don't really know what exactly I'm going to talk about here. So we have Lynn said keenly following from Eldoret, and then she said that kindly expound on pinching. So we are going to expound on pinching. So what are we going to say about pinching? So let's start from what's pinching and how pinching is really supposed to be done. I don't know, because this is something that I have done practically. So I hope that I'm going to explain in such a way that you are going to understand it. So why do we need to pinch? We are, especially for the sprouting one, the one that doesn't form a very big head, it forms small heads. The one that forms small head, and then there's a stem. There's a stem, and then there's things like flowers up there, because you've seen how broccoli is. So for that one, you do pinching. How are you supposed to do pinching? When it starts to form, they usually not sprouted. Yani, so Lina, I understand tunaelewa Kiswahili. So ni hivi, when you have that broccoli, see, inakwanga imeform, it forms first one thing. If you can see, I'm going to request our director, Sarah Wanjiku, please, you can share the broccoli picture on our screen so that I can explain to our viewer about this pinching. Let us look at the one that has leaves. Achana yenye imekatwa. This, the one that is down there, the bottom one, or the first one, this is that one, that one. So that one is not the one that form head. It's not the one that form very big head, like just like cabbage, one head. It forms very many heads. So what you're pinching ni kukata apo katikati. Apo juu you kata and then you leave hizo zingine ziki sprout. So I think I've explained. So that's basically what pinching is. And pinching is done. Pinching for you, if you ukikata hiyo nini, you will have more harvest. They will form more, which are actually separate, because they're supposed to form separately so that you can cut more. And this is harvested kwa mkono, unakata tu na mkono. So pinching is done so that you can have more to harvest. They form separately. So, and then it's done actually at the week 9th or to week 10. Unaweza fanya from week 9 after transplanting the seedlings. Unaifanya from week 9 to week 10, and then you follow by immediate harvesting. Now you cut very small ones. I wish I had a broccoli right here, but that is it about broccoli pinching. So if we have anybody else who has any question about broccoli farming, as I've said, broccoli is something that you can get into, especially if you want to do export. If you want to do export for broccoli is something that you can get into. And for those who were worried, how should we do this export market, we have HCDA and AFA. You can get in touch with them and you can actually get to be able to know how you can do, because it's the government body that takes care of exports. So if you have any information about that, you can get in touch with them. And of course, for export market, of course, you have to use I wish we could do this even for local market. We have to make sure that we are using our chemicals in a good way, so that we do not have excessive residues in our chemicals. So I'm going to Aline, I hope that I have answered your question about pinching. I hope that I have really explained it as I can. So basically, that is it about pinching. If we do not have any question about pinching, we are going to end our show right here. And if you're watching us for the first time, please make sure that you turn on the post notification so that you are notified every time that we upload or we are live, so that we can share as farmers and grow together, get to share this knowledge of farming, because we need more people into the agricultural businesses. So thank you so much for watching us. My name is Misaro. I've been your host, and I am your host every day from Monday to Friday in this show where we call it the breakfast show. We'll be having more shows coming. We always have the midday show, but we're not going to have it today. But every day we have our evening drive show with our very own host Conrad Kibe. So you can turn on the post notification so that you are notified every time when we are having these interesting videos. And if you have not watched our videos, you can go back and watch our videos. We have videos on the most profitable crops that you can grow in Kenya. And of course, as a farmers media, we work with farmers. We can help you do your soil testing so that you can understand what you need how you need to treat your soil. We also do propagation. We also do propagation services where we propagate for you seeds. We also take you through farming. We have customized courses for you where we can teach you on sustainable methods of production, so you can get in touch with us and we can get to help you make your farm into a business. So without further ado, let's end this show, and thank you so much. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow at the same time with me, Misaro Chweya. Bye bye.